If you're in the beginning of your eating disorder recovery journey and you're questioning whether or not it's a good idea to still drink alcohol or use substances, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background as to why I chose to stop drinking alcohol and using substances in my eating disorder recovery journey and how it really, really helped me along the way. I never really drank alcohol or used substances when I was in high school, but I was deeply in bulimia. And when I went to varsity, I started to drink alcohol, and it really, really propelled the eating disorder into a world of its own that just became an absolute chaos. And some of the reasons were because, firstly, I knew and was conscious of the amount of calories that were in alcohol, so I would throw up or purge when I was drinking so that I could I thought I was counteracting the calories in the alcohol. I also was using the fact that I could throw up all this alcohol as a way to kind of keep up with everyone and be the life of the party. So it was a way of getting affirmation from others and fitting in, which I recognize in later recovery that was one of the things I really struggled with, was the feeling of acceptance and belonging. So I tried to change who I was by having this security blanket of alcohol, and it just completely fed the disease. Another aspect is that because I did have bulimia and I was throwing up, especially when I was drinking alcohol, I severely damaged my esophagus. Another thing that I started to realize is that if I tried to eat normally, I would get really, really uncomfortable in my body. And so drinking alcohol when I was around people or friends or anything like that acted as a way for me to kind of not have to feel like I was in my body. And so it gave me a false sense of security. So even though I started to eat correctly, I was still numbing myself out with alcohol and not having to be present in my full self. And when I got sober, I actually was able to then accept and be my true self and recognize when there were situations that I didn't want to be in, and that I could remove myself from those situations, or I could change the situation, or I could do something to fix or control the situation that was in a healthy manner. Another thing that alcohol and substance did to me in my eating disorder days was that it took away my inhibitions. So when I was really, really trying to recover, and I kept on failing and I kept on failing and I kept on failing, a lot of the time it was because I would be doing really, really well, and then I would go out with some friends or I'd go for a dinner or something, and I would justify having that one drink, and as soon as I had a drink it would trigger the desire to purge or throw up. I also had this idea that I knew I was going to be drinking, therefore having more calories, therefore I was predicting that in my day and restricting my food throughout the day to kind of counteract those calories. So it became this really sick and twisted game of back and forth between drinking and not drinking, eating and not eating. And for me, the relationship became really unhealthy. Then obviously, because I was restricting all my food, when I was drinking on pretty much an empty stomach. And I was weighing quite a low amount. And so when I did drink, it really, really, really got to me. I think what I was doing with alcohol and substance was masking the necessity of actually feeling anything. And so what really helped for me was just completely getting a free and clear mind so that I could really, really dive into who I was without any distractions, without any confusion, without any distortions. Now, I do want to mention that not everyone goes this route, and there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine or a drink or two or something like that. It's absolutely everyone's journey for their own recovery. You have to choose what works for you, but I'm just explaining what I chose and how it worked for me. I also found that it was playing with me psychologically, because obviously I wasn't in a very good psychological place. My hormones were all over the place. My system was completely shutting down. There was malnourishment. Even when I wasn't underweight, there was malnourishment because of the way I was eating. So it became this thing where anything that I was struggling with on a psychological level became amplified and enhanced when I was drinking. And it just led me to feel worse about myself and have more regret and more self-pity and more self-hatred and more victim mentality. So it really, really just threw me into a spiral of self-loathing, which I was trying to get away from. At first, it was a little bit of a struggle because all I knew was going out and having a drink with friends. But it's been nearly 4 years now, and I still don't drink any alcohol or have any substance, and I really, really believe that it's been one of the key factors in my personal development, my transformation spiritually, and my recovery journey from the eating disorder. And I definitely think that if I hadn't done that, I would still be quite stuck in it, and maybe even worse. So there's just a couple of reasons why I personally chose to stay away from alcohol and substance. If you aren't wanting to stay away from it completely, I might suggest that you reduce the amount or simply give yourself a window period. So maybe between 6 months and a year, just decide to completely abstain and to try and get back your health and your sanity before then reintroducing it slowly. Because then you also have a good understanding of why it is you're having the alcohol. Are you having it because you are trying to numb some emotion that you actually should be dealing with? Or are you having it because you really want to enjoy some time with friends and just let loose? Because that's really okay. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is up to you what works for you in your recovery the best. But this has just been my experience, and why I think that quitting alcohol and substance at least for 6 months to a year in the beginning of your eating disorder recovery journey is a really, really important factor. And if you're not sure about it, you can ask me any questions, how I went about it. If you have any other thoughts, or maybe you are trying to get your eating disorder recovery right and you're having problems with alcohol and substance, I'm happy to talk to you. You can leave a post in the comments below, or you can message me on my personal page on Facebook. My Instagram handle is @KirstenHoneyball. If you have liked this video and you found it useful, please like it and click subscribe and watch out for videos coming. I would love to answer any of your questions, so if you have any thoughts or questions about eating disorder recovery, I would be happy to share.